All right, I'd like to call to order the, let me see, I gotta read this. Call to order the Budget Committee members, and the first budget is gonna be the Library District. And first, well, actually, we're gonna start with Elizabeth. So this is a little awkward. So for the record, why don't we start with, man, I don't even know how to do this.
All right, we'll start with introductions, Chair.
Yeah.
Staff present, how's that?
All right. Well, would you introduce your staff, or the staff will introduce themselves?
Yeah. So let me start. I'm Gary Schmidt. I'm the county administrator and the district administrator for the various service districts, special districts you will hear today. Today are budget committee meetings for the 7 county service districts. I'll introduce Elizabeth Comfort, interim finance director. Elizabeth, will you introduce your staff, please?
Yes, thank you, Gary. Yes, I'm Elizabeth Comfort, interim finance director with the county. And today we also have our budget team. Blaze Riggins is our senior analyst. Jeanne Zhang and Roxanne Fisher are our analysts for our budget team as well. And Todd Burton is a temporary employee with us as a budget manager advisor.
Thank you, Elizabeth. We also have Drenda Howard, Commission Staff Manager, who will help facilitate all of these meetings. We have Dylan Blaylock from Public and Government Affairs, who will coordinate the public hearing section of all of the meetings. And we have Kevin Galusha from Technology Services, Rich Marvin and Gary Teague from Public and Government Affairs, all who are helping with the recording and the technical aspects of this meeting. And then, of course, we have the 5 county commissioners present. So those are the introductions. Chair, I'll turn it back to you if you'd like to state the calendar. Let's see, the calendar for today.
Okay, I'm going to try to do that. One thing, Drenda, I'm going to have you, people will need to raise their hands in the participant thing, bring that up and hit raise your hand, and you'll have to do it. Otherwise, I block half my screen to look at it. So the calendar for today, it's not that, just a second. Gary, I think you're going to have to do that.
I can help you, Chair. First, I see Commissioner Savas has his hand raised. Commissioner, do you have a question?
Yeah, could you actually send an email to us, the calendar of the day, and at least maybe have it so it can be shared as a window so people can look at it? So we can all see. Right now, I have no idea what's on. You know, I thought I did. I thought the script, but I mistakenly I mistaken the one script for the actually it was a script just for one particular budget committee meeting. I thought it was a script for the whole day, but it wasn't.
Gary, I actually can do this. So first up will be the library district. That's at 8:40. 9 o'clock, North Clackamas Parks and Recreation. After that, we have enhanced law enforcement. That's at 10:30 approximately. No, that's a break. 9:45. At 11, we have the OSU Extension and 4-H Service District. At 11:30, we have Clackamas County Development Agency. And then we take a lunch break, noon to 1. At 1, we have Clackamas County Street Lighting District number 5. At 1:30, we have Clackamas Water Environmental Services. And then, let's see.
That's it for today. That's it for today.
Okay, okay.
So yes, Drenda or Policy Advisory Team, can you please email the schedule out to all the commissioners for today? And yes, we can put it online or post it on the screen between meetings. Dylan or PGA team, if you could please work on that. All times are approximate, commissioners. We will do our best to stay on schedule, but you will take the time you need to do your deliberations. So we'll do our best to move through the day, but you take the time you need. So all times are approximate. With that, Chair, I think that you have done your preliminary remarks, so we can move to the first district if you are ready, Chair Bernard.
Yeah, looks like the first district is the library service district, and let's bring on the members.
Okay, just 1 second here. I'm bringing over Karen Maury, Nicholas Drakeman, Robert Ludwig, Susan Nielsen, and the last one is Daniel If Daniel Canning is out there, please go ahead and raise your hand as an attendee, because I do not see you on the attendee list, but I will also bring in our presenters, Laura, Sarah, and Tracy. So Sarah, Laura, there you are. And I do not see Tracy. So if Tracy Grambush is out there, or Daniel Kanan, if you can raise, oh, there we go. Thank you, Tracy. So the only,
there's also someone on the telephone who could be the other committee member.
Right, very good. So Daniel Kanan, if that is you on the telephone, then you can hit *9 and I can bring you over if that is you. If it is not, don't worry about it. But looking for Daniel Kanan. Those are the individuals I have. And I think most of them are here. I think we got 4 out of 5. Sorry, Chair.
So we'll call the meeting to order, and I'll ask the budget committee members to introduce themselves. Let's start with you, Karen.
As soon as I figure out where the button is so I can talk. Karen Maury, Library Budget Committee.
Tracy?
Tracy Grambush, financial analyst.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So budget committee members, introduce yourself. Susan.
I'm Susan Nielsen, Clarks Island area.
Robert Ludwig, Happy Valley.
Is there one more?
We do not have the other person yet, Chair.
All right.
Is Nick a member? Is Nick a budget member?
Oh, yes, Nick is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did he not?
Not yet, no.
Oh, I see him, he's there.
Okay,
Okay.
Nick Dirkman, Oregon City Library Board, and a member of LDAC also.
And let's go ahead and introduce the commissioners. We'll start with Martha.
Commissioner Martha Schrader.
Paul?
Commissioner Paul Savas.
So, Ken?
Commissioner Ken Humberston.
Sonia?
Tanya Fisher.
And I'm Jim Bernard, Chair of the County Commission, and I'd ask the committee members to nominate someone. Nominate someone for the chair of this committee. Susan, your mic's not on.
I would nominate Karen Maury as chair.
Second.
Did I hear a second?
Yes.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to nominate Karen Maury as the chair. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Why don't we, since we don't want to turn our mics on and off, just like thumbs up or raise your hand for aye. And it looks like everybody's waving their hand. So I'm going to turn this over to Karen.
Okay. Let's see. We now have nominations open for secretary. Is there a nomination?
I nominate Susan.
Second.
Is there a second? Thank you. Susan Nielsen has been nominated as secretary. All those in favor, wave your hand. Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. All right, and next we have Laura Zentner, who will be presenting our budget message.
So can I have Sarah bring up the PowerPoint, please? Okay, good morning, commissioners and budget committee members. As mentioned, my name is Laura Zentner and I'm the Director of Business and Community Services. With me is Tracy Grambush, Financial Analyst for our department, as well as Sarah Ekman, the Deputy Director of Business and Community Services. So I'm pleased to be here this morning to present the Library District proposed budget in the amount of $23,162,315 for fiscal year 2021 for consideration by the Budget Committee. The budget was prepared in compliance with Oregon budget law and is balanced with resources matching projected annual requirements. By way of background, the Library District was established in 2008 when voters approved a county-wide library district for Clackamas County. The permanent rate approved by the voters on November of 28 was 39 cents per thousand of assessed value. The district functions as a fiscal agent by distributing property tax revenues raised by the district's permanent rate to participating local governments who operate libraries in the county. The funds will be used in fiscal year 2021 for the operations and support of the Clackamas County Oak Lodge Library, 11 city libraries, and that's Canby, Estacada, Gladstone, Happy Valley, Lake Oswego, Milwaukee, Molalla, Oregon City, Sandy, and that includes a branch at Hoodland, Westland, and Wilsonville. And the city of Johnson City is the only area in Clackamas County that is not part of the library district. Next slide, please. This slide actually is just a picture of a lot of the libraries in Clackamas County, the beautiful libraries. Next slide, please. This slide is a graphic display of the actual physical locations of the libraries in the county. As you can see, we have 13 physical locations represented by the yellow stars. It includes 11 cities, and again, the Oak Lodge Library and the Gladstone Library are both managed and operated by Clackamas County. Each city library service area is made up of the city, as well as a proportion of the unincorporated population surrounding the city. And just a little bit of a factoid, the library district covers the entire 1,880 square miles of the county, which is about 1.2 million acres. Next slide. Oh, actually, you're already there. The total 2021 budget is $23.2 million. And this includes no general fund support. All revenue is raised via a property tax rate of 39 cents per thousand of assessed value. And I always like to put out an example of what a resident would pay. So if you owned a house with a market value of $450,000, which would be an assessed value of $288,000, that would be about $114 per year. So I figure that's going to the movies 2, 3, or 4 times a year for a couple. That's pretty good bang for the buck. So just wanted to throw that out there. Next slide, please. This slide is a graphic display. Again, a pie chart of the library district revenues. As you can see, it's all property taxes. We have the current year taxes that are 19.9 million. So really close to 20 million now. Delinquent taxes of 225,000, and then interest and penalties that are about $60,000. You'll note that there's a fund balance of 12.8%, which represents about $2.9 million. And this is the dollars that are being set aside and reserved for the Oak Lodge and the Gladstone libraries for their construction. And just to note, both of these libraries will be operated by Clackamas County under the one library, 2 building model to maximize efficiency, achieve economies of scale, and provide high quality, consistent library services to the residents of both the Oak Lodge and the Gladstone Library service area. Next slide, please. This slide is a graphic display of the expenditures. And as you can see here, we have $20.2 million that are distributed to the cities and the county and libraries in Clackamas County. This is also a really good time to mention that as part of the original library district ballot measure, the Board of County Commissioners indicated to the voters that no library administrative costs would be charged against the district, and that all taxes collected would go directly to support library services. Therefore, the county is responsible for all the administrative expenditures related to the district, and that includes the budget, the external audit, the financial statements, and management and distribution of all the funds. The county also provides staff support to both the Library District Advisory Committee and the Budget Committee. Next slide, please. This slide is a display of the estimated property taxes to all the city and county libraries in the county. And so let me just talk about a little bit about the distribution formula here. The distribution formula by which the district funds are divided out to each library is outlined in what's called the Master IGA, or Intergovernmental Agreement. And it's based on two factors. The first is the formula is the assessed value. And you can see in the graphic, there's a column that says assessed value. Each participating city and jurisdiction that operates a library located in the county receives a proportionate share based on their city's AV. The second factor of the formula is the unincorporated population, and each participating city and jurisdiction that operates a library located in the county also receives a proportionate share based on the percentage of unincorporated residents served by each library as established by the library district boundaries. Want to talk a little bit here also about the census. The Master IGA stipulates that the population in each census tract will be verified every 10 years, and an updated total unincorporated population within each library service area will be used in the formula. This ensures that the distribution of funds is reflective of the most current census data. So the 2020 census, as you're aware, is currently underway, and we will be updating the distribution formula once that is complete and we have all the new population data. Next slide, please. Financial trends, there's not a whole lot to discuss here. We actually, and it says 4.5% there, but we actually use 3%, and we changed this slide, but somehow it didn't get changed. All funds are distributed to the library, and we have no FTE. So again, not a whole lot to talk about here. Next slide, please. So the accomplishments, basically, we provide libraries for 2021 their estimates, and Tracy does that every year. Business and community services, in partnership with finance, we prepare the budget and the supplemental budget and all the financial statements for the district. We do timely distribution of funds. And again, I mentioned this, but we provide staff support to the Library District Advisory Committee as well as the Budget Committee. And then one big accomplishment this year that I'll note is on the very bottom here is we completed a very comprehensive IGA, which resulted in the transfer of the City of Gladstone Library operations to the county. And that was on December 1st of 2019. So that was a big milestone for us. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to talk about a couple projects and then I'll wrap it up. We launched our first multi-jurisdictional library task force meeting in January of 2020. And the goal of that was to evaluate and make recommendations related to library district services, library district funding, and then the administration. We had the second meeting scheduled for March of 2020, but it was canceled, and right now it's been put on hold due to COVID-19. And then the next big project that we're working on is we continued the Concord property planning process in partnership with NCPRD and the Oak Lodge and Gladstone Library projects. The master plans for both the Gladstone and the Oak Lodge libraries are now about 50% complete and are anticipated to be fully complete by October. Once these plans are complete, we will move forward with the next phase of the project, which includes design development, schematic design, construction documents, and then permitting. If all of that goes as planned, we anticipate construction to begin in January or February of 2022, and we hope to complete construction in the summer of 2023. So with that, I will open it up for questions.
Chair Maury, we have Commissioner Bernard, Commissioner Savas, and then Commissioner Humberston.
All right. Chair Bernard.
Oh crap, where's my video?
Perhaps we should go to Commissioner Savas.
Commissioner
Excuse me.
Savas.
Excuse me, my mic wasn't on. So I'm back to my questions. When the other two libraries open, you will have FTEs, right? Gladstone and Oak Lodge.
We have already, and sorry, I just realized my video wasn't on the entire time. But we will, what was the question again? Can you repeat it?
So once the Gladstone libraries open, you will have county FTEs or district FTEs, correct?
So the district does not have any FTEs. We transferred all of the Gladstone Library personnel over to Clackamas County, and our Oak Lodge Library personnel are county employees. So the county has employees, but the district does not.
Okay. And the $225,000 uncollected property taxes, that's just for the library district?
The delinquent?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Gary, that's something I'd be interested in generally, is a list of delinquent property taxes over a certain amount. We can talk about that later. Thank you.
We have Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Laura. Could you go back to I think it was the first pie chart slide when you were talking about the Oak Lodge piece? My questions may be somewhat similar to Commissioner Bernard's question to some degree. I was trying to catch what you mentioned about, was it this slide you brought up, the Oak Lodge piece?
What are you talking? Oh, and you're talking about the 2.9 million?
Well, whatever verbiage you used, I was just wondering when you introduced.
Maybe it's the next slide, I think. You're talking about the 2.9 there.
Okay, so so when it's special payments, can you expand on that a little bit?
So per the IGA, where we are required, and this is the master IGA, we are required to set aside excess funds that are distributed to the Oak Lodge Library until such time that we're constructing the libraries.
Okay, so this 2.9 million, because of this concept of the settlement agreement where the Oak Lodge Library is two libraries, right? I mean, we're saying that the library located in Gladstone and the library located in Oak Grove ultimately, will be one library. So this 2.9 million is dedicated to both of those structures and operations, or only to the Oak Grove structure and building and operations?
It is dedicated to both. It is a one library, two location model. And in the settlement agreement, we are sharing resources. We are sharing a library director, a library supervisor, and all the staff are going between the two locations. So the entire operation is much, much more efficient because we're going to be sharing staff, and the whole concept and the reason that we're able to do this for the cost that we're going to be able to do it is because we're sharing staff. So
okay, and I understood that part as far as operations, but I'm going to go back to the capital piece when I mentioned the building. So I'm speaking to capital. So will this 2.9 million be dedicated to capital for both buildings?
Correct. It's just part of the, we're going to have revenue bonds that will be issued. We have the money that's sitting in the reserve. We have the additional $1 million that Clackamas County contributed to each of the libraries for construction of libraries. And then in addition, there will be a small portion of the library operation dollars that will be used to pay the debt service on the buildings.
And that amount is how much?
Per the settlement agreement, it's $310,000 annually.
annually. And then, so maybe Gary or Laura, you can probably answer this. So the set aside that I saw in the budget, quarterly budget meetings was it $600,000 or $800,000 per year for debt service?
I think it was 600,000.
Okay, is that 300 part of, or is that in addition to the 600,000?
In addition to, so we'll have 310,000 that will be paid for by the Oak Lodge and Gladstone libraries out of their operating dollar, as well as the county will issue revenue bonds, and that 600,000 represents the annual debt payment for their portion of the debt.
Okay, thank you. We'll talk offline. I don't want to bog this down anymore, but I appreciate the answer. So the Commissioner Bernard's question, which was mine as well, is that, you know, there's no FTE in here. So the where in the budget, obviously not this one, but where in the budget is that going to be held? Is that going to be held in BCS's budget for the Oak Lodge Library, Gladstone Library operations and capital construction?
Yeah, so the library district, just so you know, serves as just a mechanism to take in dollars and distribute dollars out. And so just like the cities, the Oak Lodge Library and the Gladstone Library receive distributions. And so you will see the Gladstone and the Oak Lodge Library budgets that have the staff included in the BCS budget tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you. And last question, the revenues, the current tax revenues are $19,906,368. And obviously, Commissioner Bernard properly pointed out the $225,000 of delinquent taxes. Do we expect that delinquency to be a major factor going forward into the 2021 annual budget as a result of the loss of employment due to the COVID crisis?
So the numbers that you have in front of you were what we prepared prior to COVID, and we didn't adjust the delinquency. Tracy is actually monitoring on a monthly basis our revenue and property taxes that comes in, and she's comparing it to a year ago, and she's going to do that every single month just so that we're proactively monitoring. And from what Tracy told me, and she can jump in here, she did the first month and everything so far looks good. But again, we're going to go month to month and just keep track of it and go and compare it to a year ago at the same time, just so again, we're proactive in monitoring that. But I do anticipate, honestly, that we will have more delinquencies. I don't see how we couldn't, but
maybe, I mean, do you think it'll be 5%, 1%? I mean, just guessing based on the previous recession. I mean, there's one budget. I asked that because there's one particular department budget where they anticipated 5% and actually took that out of their budget as a minus. Not yours, but I just want to point that out. So I was just kind of stunned by that, actually.
You know, I would defer to the finance department. We'll be monitoring it for both NCPRD and for the library district. And, but I would think maybe your assessor's office and or the finance department might have a little more information on what they think is going to happen and what happened in the 2008 downturn.
Yeah. And okay, I'll leave it there. Thank you, Laura. And maybe Gary, or Elizabeth, maybe just for making the day go smoother, if we can maybe get Tammy to help us with that, because I think it was ELED where there was actually a forecasted loss due to COVID. And I don't see any other budget that did that. So I want to just get my arms around, is that a fair assessment? And what's it based off of going forward for the rest of the day? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Humberston.
Yeah, the delinquency issue was the issue I was going to ask about. Partially answered that you based your 1% on the traditional delinquency, and are preparing to anticipate a higher delinquency than that, which means, if I'm understanding it correctly, we should anticipate supplemental budget activity in this department in the future.
We will be monitoring again month to month, and if we see anything happening or we get good information from the assessor's office, we will act accordingly throughout the year to do supplemental budgets and to reduce expenditures necessary to keep us in compliance with Oregon budget law.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm not seeing any other hands up. So we will proceed to the public hearing. Anyone wishing to testify should begin by giving their name and address for the record. Is there anyone present from the public that would like to speak?
I can handle that, Chair Maury, just real quickly. So this is the moment. I'm Dylan Blaylock with Public and Government Affairs, and I'll be handling public comment. For if any attendees would like to provide a comment specific to this public hearing, the Library Services District, and you're out there watching, I see we have over 40. You can do so now by utilizing the raise hand feature on Zoom. That raise hand button is on the Zoom bar. That's at the top or bottom, depending on your device. If you're on the phone and you want to give a comment, you can go ahead and hit *9 now, and that lets us know that you do have a comment. Give people 5 seconds to do that. Again, you can hit the raised hand bar on Zoom if you have a comment specific to this public hearing, or *9 on the phone, and checking the emails. Seeing none, seeing no comments, Chair Maury.
Thank you. Having no comments, the public comments are now closed. All right, we need a motion to approve the budget. Please note that someone needs to read it off the script. And as we've learned in the past, be very careful where you put the decimal point. Would someone like to move?
Madam Chairman, I don't have a copy of the script, but I'm comfortable in moving to approve the budget as presented for the library district.
All right, and maybe to clarify, let me read what's actually here. I move that the committee approve the 2021 budget in the amount of $23,162,315 for the Clackamas County Library Service District as presented, and impose the district's maximum permanent tax rate of $0.3974 per 1,000 of assessed value within district boundaries.
So
all right,
moved.
and thank you. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay. Did I hear a second?
Yes, I think Robert.
Okay, thank you. Having been moved and seconded that the budget be approved, all those in favor, wave your hand.
This is Nick. I'm voting yes.
So
Okay.
we're going to do a poll on this, Chair. We need to do a poll for the record. So Drenda will call
Okay.
up your names for a vote, please.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Chair Maury,
Aye.
Susan Nielsen,
Aye.
Robert Ludwig,
Aye.
Nick Dirkman,
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Humberston.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. The ayes have it and the motion is approved. Is there any other business before this group?
I would just like to, Jim Bernard, Commissioner. It's hard when you're the chair. Chair, I'd like to thank you for participating in the budget committee for the library district, and all your members for your years of service, and very much appreciate all you've done. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll tell you, this has been the most interesting budget hearing we've had so far. And at that, this meeting is adjourned, and I give the gavel back to you, Chair Bernard.
Thank you.